Hi, I'm Mike with House on the Mend, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Ryobi 1600 PSI electric pressure washer. So let's get started.
If you break it, he will fix it. If you buy it, he will build it. House on the Mend.
So about a week ago it rained just enough to get the front of the house all wet, and then a huge gust of wind blew all the desert sand and dirt all over the front of the house. These windows are just covered in dirt. It's nasty. Look at this right by the front door. Just a mess. So I went to the store and I picked up this guy. Now at 1600 PSI, this is currently the smallest and least expensive of the Ryobi line of pressure washers. Currently about $98. Now I'm not sponsored by Ryobi or anybody else, so I purchased this with my own money. What do you say we see what's inside? All right, I've got all the components laid out and just wanted to go over a few things. So this is the main pressure washer unit here with the pump inside of it. On the front, you have the on and off switch. They're very robust. This is where the hose connects, the high pressure hose, which then connects to the handle, which then connects to the wand. The plug itself has a built-in GFI, which is very common with pressure washers. Everyone I've owned that's electric has had that. So you have the reset and you have the test, right? Just like a GFI plug in your house. This clear tube here has a filter on the end of it. That would go into soapy water, and then this end of the tube goes right here into this little port, which will suck in if you want to use the soap for it. Now, something very cool, there are 3 nozzles that go with quick release links right here, quick release fittings right on the front of the wand. This one is the high pressure. Then you also get the 15-degree nozzle. This one's a little bit lighter pressure, about medium. And then the lowest of them all is this blue one that is meant for easier things that need less pressure, right? So if you're using soap, if you want to be very gentle, this would be the one. They have this cool little guide here that I'm pointing at that shows you if you're using concrete, brick, and masonry, then you're good to go to use even the high pressure turbo nozzle, spray all this kind of block and get it all clean. If you're spraying your house with siding, gutters, that sort of thing, stucco, you might want to use with caution the higher pressure ones, but you're always good to go with the low pressure one. So a little guide there that you can leave right on the handle, the carry handle. Also on the carry handle, which is cool, is this Velcro nylon strap, and that is how you police up all of your electrical cord as well as the hose. Now I was looking at this hose material and it looks pretty robust here. If you look, this appears to be a steel braided hose like that they use for under the kitchen sink faucets. Good reputable faucet connections have braided hose, but this has an extra layer of protection with this kind of hard plastic cover around it. So that's pretty cool. On the back, I'm always happy to see this, that this is where the garden hose connects to the unit, and this fitting actually spins. So you're not trying to twist and thus curl up your garden hose. You bring the garden hose right to the unit, and then you simply rotate this fitting. There is a little filter inside here that will be good for cleaning out any debris. We'll talk about connecting the hose here in just a minute. All right, so assembly is very basic. First thing you do is simply bring the wand in to the handle and give it a little turn, and so it lines up right there. And you're good to go with that. Next thing is to connect the hose. The fittings are both the same, so you can't go wrong there. Bring it right up to the wand, tighten it down. Other end of the hose gets connected next. Pull that little rubber piece off. That goes right in there. That's a good fit. All right. Once you do that, you connect up the garden hose and prime the unit first, meaning you turn on the garden hose completely. Open up your nozzle here and let all the air come through the unit, through the hose, and out. And you're ready to go once you select the nozzle you want. So let's hook it up to the hose. Now here's a little tip. Before you hook this hose up to your pump, make sure you flush out the hose to make sure no insects or any other debris have nestled up in here, made a nest or anything. I learned that the hard way one time, where a bunch of gook went right into the filter of a sprinkler. So just flush it out real good. Also make sure the line is straight with no kinks in it so you get the most water pressure you can. All right, connect our hose now that we've flushed it out. Good and tight there. One thing I'll say, this cord that comes with the unit is really long. That's fantastic. There are some considerations when using extension cords that we'll get into a little later, but they give you a lot of cord, which is great. All right, we're gonna straighten out the hose here, get it all the way down this walkway and prime the whole unit with the water turned on, and then we're gonna get started. All right, I got a little Velcro strap holding the trigger down, so it'll make it easier to prime. Let's go turn on the hose. Here we go at the hose, full pressure. All right, so the water has traveled through the hose, through the pump, all the way down the pressure hose, and out the wand. We don't hear any more bubbles or any burping of air, anything like that, so we know we're fully primed. Now I can shut that off, we can turn on the pump, and we can get to spraying. Let's see what it sounds like. All right, well that initial sound's pretty loud. You could probably hear that coming right out of my lapel mic. Let's see how we do with our medium nozzle on there and how loud it is. So what I noticed right off the front is the sound of that pump is kind of whiny and loud. We'll see how fatiguing that gets to the ears after a while. Also, the front of this nozzle can be twisted so that you get the spread going this way. See that? Or you can turn it horizontally and get a spread going this way. I can see that coming in handy when you're coming along and cleaning certain things where you want to get the spread going one direction or the other. It's pretty cool. You can just twist it with the nozzle itself. All right, let's set up with the camera out of the way of the water and start washing the front of this dirty house. All right, we're set up right here against the dirtiest part of the whole house. Now it's time to give this guy a try. Lots of dirt coming off there. All right, that's working great, I would say. One thing to note on stucco houses, whenever you see any of this fancy kind of trim around windows or around the rooftops, anywhere, that is styrofoam. that has been attached to the house and then covered with a pretty thin layer of stucco. So I'm glad I'm using this medium nozzle and not the super high pressure one, this black one, because I think it might run the risk of causing some damage of breaking off bits of this stucco. Another thing that I've noticed, my first impression of using it, that whine, if it's coming across on the microphone as much as it is to my ears, is pretty annoying. So I think I'm gonna go get some of my noise canceling music headphones and just listen to some tunes while I get going on the rest. But something really fun for you as we continue washing this house, I think it's time to switch our camera angle to the wand cam. Let's make it happen. Wand cam.
It came to pass a storm one night, the wind and rain gave us a fright. You don't care for dust and dirt, not do you?
Once we reached the end of the provided cord, it was time to add an extension cord. And I want to go over a couple things when it comes to extension cords. Number one, don't go any longer than 100 foot according to the instructions. They don't recommend 100-foot cords or beyond because so much resistance is introduced into the line that you could lose some of the voltage and amperage, and that can cause problems with the pump to overheat and not run properly. So you don't want to go too far with extension cords. Number two, this tip came straight from the instruction manual with the Ryobi pressure washer, and that is to elevate the extension cord and plug union on a bucket or some other item so there's no way it comes in contact with water, and that prevents any kind of shock risk. So I thought that was pretty smart. All right, as you can see back here, we're chasing suitable lighting conditions here, but I wanted to demonstrate the power of each of the three nozzles because it occurred to me we've only been using the middle nozzle so far in this video. So let's first take a look at the strength coming out of the blue nozzle, which is the lightest of them all, the soapy dispensing nozzle. Here we go. All right, very low pressure coming out of that guy, right? Now we'll pop in the 15-degree medium one. What we've been used to all day. I'm getting a priming issue, you hear that? All right. That's the second priming issue I've had, and I got it on film. All right, getting back to our demonstration here. Here is the high pressure. Doesn't seem to go as far as the orange one, but it's a more of a rounded cone pattern rather than that flat pattern. And that would make sense since these have little slits in them and this one looks like a conical type nozzle. All right, next thing I want to do is spray each of them on this block here and see if there is any damage that would occur from the high pressure. We know this little blue one's not going to have any issue, but let's take a look at the orange one compared to the black one. All right, so we got our block here, and we're gonna try both nozzles, the orange 15-degree, and then we're gonna switch over to the high pressure nozzle and see if there's any marks or signs of wear on this cinder block. First, the 15-degree. No, as you would expect, pretty safe for concrete and masonry. We'll switch to the high pressure. And you can see that more conical shape rather than the slicing spray of the 15-degree nozzle. This one is very rounded and conically shaped. So I don't even think it's concentrated enough to cause any damage to this masonry block. So I think you're going to be pretty safe as long as you're not using this on some kind of painted surfaces like a garage door or siding or something like that. There's really no fear of this one causing any issues. Personally though, I like this 15-degree orange one. I think that spread pattern comes in real handy when cleaning off stucco in vehicles and things. All right, it is so hot out. I've sweat through all my clothes and my hat, and I found the one little piece of shade right here. Hey, sweet baby. To talk about a couple things. That's it for the day. Now, obviously, if you know anything about windows, you know that that's not going to be clean enough. We're going to have to come back with a good soapy sponge and the squeegee to get that all done. But we'll save that for tomorrow. Now, one thing I read in the instructions, to keep this pump healthy, just like you would the pump inside of a paint sprayer, you should use some protectant that goes inside, all right? So I just happen to have this Graco sprayer here, and it comes with Pump Armor, which is their brand. And this is really good for freeze protection, as well as keeping the components inside clean in paint sprayers, as well as this pressure washer. So I'm going to take this little gadget I hooked up here, I'm going to screw that right onto the fitting, and I'm going to pour down some of this Pump Armor and get it inside of the system. They have specially made bottles that you can pressurize and squeeze into there. I'm going to see what I can get done with this. One way or the other, for long-term storage, it's a good idea to put some sort of airless pump protectant inside of your sprayer. Oh, much cooler in here to finish up. In fact, I got a sweat ring all the way around my hat. It's going to have to be washed. All right. So in conclusion, I thought that the Ryobi pressure washer overall worked great. Let's talk about the pros and cons. First, the pros. This little unit's lightweight and very portable. It doesn't have wheels or a handle with which to tow it around, but on our property where we have pavers and gravel, it really wouldn't be of much use, and that was a consideration when I purchased it, as I did not need those things. I had absolutely no issues with the GFI plug. Worked great, never popped even once. I loved the nozzles that could be turned to spread the water one direction or the other, and the price at $98 is fantastic. Now on to the cons. First and foremost, the whine that the pump makes is very annoying. I would suggest putting on some headphones like I did and listen to some music to kind of drown out that sound. Second would be the two instances where I had issues with the pump not being properly primed. Now those could both be my fault, but I thought 2 instances was kind of a lot. Maybe that pump is quite touchy. Now if you look on the back, it does say to prime the lines when it's connected to the garden hose for 30 seconds. I didn't time myself to see whether or not I did that, but I let it run for a while and it never burped up any air or anything, so I thought I was good to go. And lastly, this might be a little bit nitpicky, but on the back of the unit, there's only 2 slots for the nozzles to be stored. That means that one of them is going to be free to float around. So therefore, I would leave it attached to the wand so you don't lose it. Now, if you came to YouTube to assist yourself with making a purchasing decision on this unit, I can tell you that after all the tests I did and the use, I found it to be fun, very easy to move around, and I would have no problems recommending it for light home use. I'll leave a link below to the unit so you can click on it if you want more information. Or you can simply go down to the Home Depot. As you can see here, there's quite a bit of Ryobi pressure washers to choose from right off the rack. If you like this video, will you please give it a thumbs up? It really helps me out. Also, please consider subscribing. I work really hard to put out good quality content, and there's more videos to come. I'd love to hear in the comments below from viewers who have long-term experience with this small pressure washer. Tell us about its durability if you've had it for, say, a year or more. I think that would be a great benefit to everyone watching this video. Until next time, thank you for watching.
If you break it, he can fix it. If you buy it, he will build it. Why's he always in that outfit? 'Cause he's house on the